Okie dokie. We'll see how this goes. I can assure you, with my dyslexia. Anyway, I can see on my backup device that I have an ad playing, so I won't be babbling too fast, too quickly. But this is a little bit of a roundabout way. Let me check if the image is even focused. It looks like it. The weirdest thing is, it's been such a long time since I have actually done this stream. Clearly, this orchid only blooms once a year, but live streams in general on the patio, it's been a while. It's the first time that I've gone into the streaming software on the browser on a phone in order to bring these images to you, and the camera is not facing me because I cannot flip the screen. So my mind is doing circles, little bit of cartwheels, I can assure you, mental gymnastics in order for me to get around this rigmarole of how this works. It's weird also because I couldn't find the scheduled live stream on my YouTube app the way I did last year, so I don't know what's changed. Hey, Nocturnal Butterfly, maybe I should ask first of all, can you hear me? How about trying that for a start? Okay, if you can't hear me, maybe I should type it. Can you hear me? Try that again. I am shaking. Oh, coming in clutch. How are you? Gorgeous. I love your chaise longue avec les boxes. That was amazing. Great pick. Great pick. Oh, goody. So sound works. That's fabulous. I appreciate the feedback. Yes. So this is the weirdest thing, that I couldn't see my own scheduled live stream on the YouTube app as I could last year, where I just had to hit the plus button at the bottom, go to live, go to the calendar icon where there was a red dot, and then find my scheduled live stream. Not today. You swipe, that's good. That's good. If you want it without any of my logos on, you can just ask. I'll email it to you. You can send me an email. Hey, it's good to see you. It's been a hot minute, Ryan. How are you? Wow, this feels like we're back in business. I can assure you. I've been missing the live streams, but doing it at my desk at night where there's not really that much to see. I was like thinking, yeah, no, not really. But we are back in business, and I'm kind of thinking I'm going to check and see if Saturdays at 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. is good for as many people around the globe. And then try to figure out why I cannot flip the screen so that I could do my patio tours on a stream for as long as it takes. For example, instead of thinking, edit this, look at that, should I include this, shouldn't I, just sporadically. You're doing pretty good now. Oh, I don't want to read too much into that, Ryan, but at least you're doing pretty good now. I hope that everything else is well and truly gone, dealt with, and it wasn't too traumatic. I really appreciate you being here. I really do. I am so excited. I've got tears in my eyes. Oh my goodness. I am so built close to the water at the moment, so emotional about things. Oh, you swiped the box photo. Okay, I got it. Oh, I thought that was you. I thought this is awesome. Okay, I thought you meant the image here. Okay, anyway, just know that if you ever want anything of mine, you are welcome to have it. Just email me and I will take off all kinds of watermarks. But I have to say, I'm so, I don't know, so emotional about things lately that even now sitting here, having you guys being live, oh God, I'm all in my feels. It's so nice. I guess the stress of the winter is better or deeper than I actually would like to admit to even myself. And last night was the last night that we had temperatures below 15 degrees from what I can see, which is a big relief because that was a shock. The second week of April, that temperature drop. I think I'm seeing some cold damage on my Angraecum crestwood. Even though it got my blankie, the one I need for around my waist. I hope it's not. I hope it's not. It's got its brolly there now, but that would be a shame. But to see the sun out for like 11, 12 hours during the day, to think that only now I would be moving my Angraecoids, I may need to make a mental note. We'll see what happens. I don't like the look of some of the leaves. That would be very surprising because my blankie does wonders for my back. Why isn't it doing wonders for my crestwood? Listen, Ryan, I can assure you that I have my challenges and struggles. If you were to see me here now, you would go, what is going on? You would probably say, yeah, I'm not going to have me any of that. Thank you very much. Blooms or not. I'm sitting. Yes, I'm in the shade, so I have to be really careful about my lumbar region, but I've got this winter woolly blanket wrapped around my waist. Ladybug, hey! Oh, how sweet of you to come. I am checking out any kind of, let's say, community post. I'm stalking you guys. I want to see that quilt. I hope it's coming together along nicely, if not already finished. If you're not familiar with Nocturnal Butterfly's Easy Recipes, she has a channel and she goes live with her friend Ladybug and they do crafts together or they do baking together. I am sorry for being limited here. I don't even dare fire up the Restream software on my desktop to go and drop links. So hang on a second. Let me do something. Nocturnal. Oh, I can't do it. Can I do it here? Can I? Oh, yes, I can. Look at me. Okay, wait a second. Add. Are you okay with being a moderator so that you can drop your link, Nocturnal Butterfly, and also drop Ladybug's link? If you don't mind. It's finished! Hurrah! Ladybug did a t-shirt quilt for a client of hers with lots and lots of t-shirts. Goodness me. Labor of love, cutting all that out. Oh, did I miss a community post then? I need to then go and check things out. Anyway, Nocturnal Butterfly, no pressure. I have everything on 10 minutes to be a subscriber, so if any nasty accounts want to come in, they're just going to have to wait for 10 minutes. I hope that deters them. There's no responsibility as such here. We're not that big. But Ladybug, I've made you a mod as well so that you can add your link. Please do that. I can't promise any massive exposure. I hope one day I can say massive exposure, come to my channel. Julie's Orchids. Oh, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. There we go. Julie's Orchids, please also add your link. Hey, it's good to see you. Ladybug. Okay, so these are channels that I enjoy going to. It's also for now a quiet group. Someday that may change because these ladies, they rock it with all their seed starting, with the baking, great ideas that you can use. And then, of course, Julie's Orchids is my samurai ninja. She is in Australia, if you're not familiar with her. She grows her orchids in Perth, Australia. She's from the United States and migrated to Australia. Julie and I seem to be like, I won't say sisters because, you know, a family is something that you are born with. She's bigger than a sister to me. Definitely. I tell her things I would never tell my sister. And if you hear me stirring thing, oh, I've got my 4th cup of coffee because I just can't get out of the gates today. And watch, this is going to come and bite me later tonight. But we shall see. We shall see how long this lasts. Oh, and another discovery I made just now, because 'tis the time of year where I have to bring my little hanging basket orchids into the blooming alley, into the shade, because the atmosphere is super clear and the sun is nice and strong, even though the breeze is still a bit chilly. Yeah, the clear atmosphere can also burn orchid leaves, even though maybe the temperatures aren't as high. So I've moved my little hanging baskets to the blooming alley, and I just saw a spike on my Vandica Stylus loose Neri. That is, I would say, 5 weeks premature. That is insane, just like my Stan. What is he doing with that single spike? That's 2 months premature, but hey, I'm not complaining. Not complaining. So I got that spike coming. The other ones aren't spiking, but I can see that also on the keikis, the Aphyllum keikis, the little ones, because they bloomed sooner. The first blooms are already fading, so you can see how quickly this goes. Luckily, we could time it this time, and it wasn't like during the week, so maybe more people can come and say howdy doody if they have time. And you're gonna hear, if you're gonna hear anything, yep, you've got the patio in the raw. And if I sound loud, tell me to tone it down so I don't appear as though I'm shouting. Okay. So Ryan Millet, let me go back. I was yapping away, looking around. You're still getting cold and rain. Oh my goodness. It stunted the growth of your bulbs, and the den noblies are growing keikis on the pseudobulbs. Okay. Huh. I was very surprised for the drastic weather, the temperature change April. That is the famous gate clanging. It'll do that again and again and again ad infinitum. Well, I hope it changes for you very soon, Ryan. Am I saying it correctly, Ryan, or is it Rian? Yeah, the thing is that the Vanda falcata parentage, you'll be surprised, Ryan. I actually thought it would be more temperature tolerant because of that parentage. And a couple of years ago, I left it outside, and because a couple of nights were 12 degrees Celsius, and I thought, no biggie. After that whole orchid shuffle, and I kind of got sick of it, and I thought, yeah, you've got Vanda falcata, you can handle it. Oh no, 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 no. I saw the anthocyanin from cold stress very, very quickly on the leaves, and lesson learned. That orchid comes inside now if the temperatures are below 15 degrees Celsius, just to be on the safe side. Isn't that surprising? So the Rhynchostylus gigantea is strong in that one. And I just don't have it outside. In a way, I have to say, although I miss my big Vandas, it's a blessing I don't have to move them. So it's not like, it's not hard to move 3 baskets every night. For certain things, Ladybug, I may have more knowledge. And other things are just like whoosh, straight over my head. What was that? And then it'll take me months to decipher and look it up and try to learn it again. Okay, wordplay. I love that. Okay. No, honestly, I can tell you that, yeah, well, when it comes to orchid, pretty much it's not that, I don't have to think much about them, thank goodness. Thank goodness. There's so much else that is so demanding on my brain that I feel, I struggle with. Then I procrastinate on it, and then I hate myself for procrastinating. Then it becomes stressful. I don't know if you know that cycle. And it's actually there's only one way to get rid of all that stress, and is just to do it, right? And then I get stressed out about thinking about doing it. It's a mess. But when it comes to orchids, la 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 la, life is a breeze. It's fun, especially now. Especially now. Don't ask me in December or January or February. Oh, I'm sorry you can relate, but I'm glad. Sorry about that. Sorry about that noise. I'm sorry you can relate, but I'm glad that you can also relate, because then I don't sound so crazy. I stand there and try to explain some things to my daughter sometimes, and I think I'm wasting her time, but I feel I need to explain things to her so she doesn't think that I'm losing my mind. You know what I mean? Yes, I may be old and crooked and I walk around in the shape of a question mark. A shepherd's hook, how about that? The other day I was asking her something, and I make popcorn for my bird and I. During his free flight, we snack on popcorn together. So I prepared the pot with the popcorn and everything ready out, but I thought I'm just going to go up and ask her a question. It was her day off. And while I was sat on our couch, I was like talking, I all of a sudden did this jerking freak out shock sound because I had forgotten that my popcorn was on and we were chatting a little longer than I thought we would. So I went down, rushed down. She freaked out because I spooked her. Turns out I hadn't even switched it on. So that just tells you right there that it's a bit of a sieve, you know? There's two ears. It's a bit hollow in there. Yeah, Richard! Hey, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that. I sometimes wish I had the room, but yes, exactly. And that is also, you see, man, if I could, never mind. I'm not going to say if. We're working towards when I can put my lights back on and my heat back on for them, then there's possibly by that time other orchids can be replaced that I miss terribly, but that I lost because of the circumstances. And it's, you know what's tough? You really want to grow one, but you have to be realistic and say, it's not going to give me the same satisfaction as where it grows, where I see it grow, like me and Masdevallias. I just never bought them. I don't want to know that I'll be struggling with them while during the best time of year when growing the rest of my orchids is relatively easy, in inverted commas. Then I'll be freaking out over my Masdevallias, and I don't want that. I just want one phase of the year to be the way it is, grit my teeth, hopefully not break a crown in doing so, come through it, and then enjoy the majority of the time. So that's the plan. And also, I'm kind of sick of oncidiums. I'm going to say that now. I've got some kind of, it started maybe last year. I got something like a minuscule scale kind of infection that, of course, now is eradicated. But the damage is done on the pseudobulbs, and they're shrinking away. The roots aren't happy either. I never missed it with garlic alcohol. I painted the structures in order to protect the roots. And I'm getting a little frustrated with some of these oncidiums to the point where I'm thinking, look, if you don't recover this season, you're out, you're out, you're out. So let me just say that is my current frame of mind when it comes to what I expect from certain orchids in the coming, up until November. So don't be surprised if you see a video saying, even though it's green and there's still something that sembles a bit of life, no. Nope. Brea, hey, it's good to see you too. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, Masdevallias. Yeah, I'm not having it. Do you know? you know, when you have a balance, let's just say all my outdoor growing orchids, one of which we're staring at right now, they boost my spirits during the winter. So that's the balance. I can freak out indoors, but when I step outside, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is looking good. This is wonderful. You know, like also my Rapiculus lalias, Dendrobium tortile. All these guys can live outside, and these are like my Plan B collection for eventualities. I wasn't thinking back when I was buying Rapiculus lalias that I would maybe one day only grow orchids that can survive my tough conditions. It was more, can I afford the place I'm living in? And I would need a smaller collection of smaller orchids, but I want lots of them. That's why I then went for Rapiculus lalias to make sure I have Plan B. And if I lose everything that normally grows indoors, I won't lose everything that can survive outdoors. But we're not going to think of the negative. We've got a lot of ground to cover this thing. Missed you too, girlfriend. And I hope that you've been doing well. Nocturnal Butterfly, be sure to be on the live. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Only good accounts with that have subscribed can chat. And there's a reason for that. I am so glad that YouTube has at least put that filter on so that we can avoid all the nasty comments. These bots, I hate them. I forgot them once. Once. And boom, there they were. Obnoxious things. Funny how YouTube can't get a grip on that. But anyway. So, by the way, the links that are in the chat, if you are not familiar with them, we have some new names from last year. Ladybug is a crafter. Nocturnal Butterflies, easy recipes. She also does things with seedlings and grows plants, and she's just recently moved, so I am anticipating eventually a garden tour, no pressure. But Ladybug and Nocturnal Butterfly, they do live streams together. They combine them, and then you can see two screens, both doing different things, and Julie's Orchids as well. If you haven't, they have dropped their link as well. And if anybody else is a channel holder that does content, you have to let me know, because I don't want you to feel left out. People have moderator status to be able to post links, because I probably would knock us out of this stream if I touched my screen now on the device that I'm currently streaming from. I tried. Actually, you know, I was surprised. The fact that I had to go through the browser in order to access my scheduled stream. Okay, surprise number one, and all of a sudden the nerves kicked in. And then I was like, why are you looking at me? How do I flip the screen? So I quickly Googled how to flip screen on Restream's browser, whatever. Couldn't find the answer, so I've turned the camera around. That was the weirdest thing. And then when I went into the studio, it was horizontal. I'm like, why? The camera is... No, it was vertical, sorry. The camera is horizontal. Why is my screen vertical? Goodness me, I was going through hoops. But here we are. End of the month. It's a good time of year to move. I hope that you are not going to be rained out. Every time I've moved, for some reason, it was raining. Very strange. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. I can also sit in silence. It's what I do most of the days, so it's not like, you know. And I'm going to be here for quite some time. I want to see how the times work for the different time zones. So I know that Sundays is probably not a good convenient time for many people because of church in the US, Sunday mornings, and work when it comes to Australia for Monday mornings. But I have been thinking that if I can get the orientation of the direction of my camera working so I can see what I'm doing, that I am going to do streams of just walking around the patio. At least this way, I'm not as stationary, just gawking at something that is so gorgeous that by Wednesday it's probably going to be gone. Can you believe it? There's a very, very slight perfume in the air. Little, very slight rose perfume I'm getting from her now. If I buried my face in there, it would be much stronger, but at least now she's actually throwing a fragrance out. Because some people say this orchid is not fragrant, and I was like, well, why am I smelling roses? And then I always remember I have other orchids in bloom that may have similar fragrances, but my Dendrobium tortile in bloom way in the back there is not close enough for me to smell. So, but yeah, you see, I've got the blooming alley that I could like mosey around in, poke my camera into things, so stuff like that. My most favorite orchid to grow, there's two actually, that if I lost them, I would be absolutely devastated. And one is my Cattleya maxima, which is the bloom of my logo. I'd be devastated if I lost that one. Meanwhile, they are easy to replace, but it's difficult when your OG, when you lose it, and you bought it for that specific reason. It's very difficult for me to transfer my emotions to something new. Then I get too attached, which is really, really silly. And the other orchid is my Cattleya Dinard Blue Heaven. She is very difficult to find now. It was a lucky find. I wasn't actually looking for her at the time. There are videos on my channel about her and some shorts as well. She is just mind-blowing, beautiful, and so different with her almost lavender pink petals and sepals. The petals, the shape of the petals, they remind me of Babe, the piggy's ears, if that makes sense. They have such a beautiful, voluptuous, I know, wrong word, but they're bigger and broader, but it's just a beautiful shaped bloom. The proportions are just amazing because the lip is so big, and it's the closest thing that I've got to bloom that has a Dowiana in it. My Cattleya Dowiana hasn't bloomed for me yet. I mean, she's growing well, but she hasn't bloomed. So these two, yeah, I hope, fingers crossed, everything goes well. Those are the two. And both of them are highly fragrant as well. So Julie's orchid says, I have the smallest, tiniest little phyllum. Its canes are only about 3 to 4. I'm guessing it'll take... No, I was thinking about that the other day when I did the video for how I aphyllum. I was thinking if I should add in keiki progression and when to anticipate growth. And I didn't include that, but in that thought process, I actually deduced from my own class of 2019 keikis that it takes about 2 years, 3 at the most, even if whatever cane comes next only blooms with 2 blooms. So that it doesn't take that long. A keiki, even a small one, you've got now 3 to 4 centimeters. If that one pushes a growth double, or let's say, yeah, at least 8-10 centimeters, if that growth of 10 centimeters can bloom 2 blooms. And then, of course, my curtain project that I've got going with all the keikis of all the years that I've pinned onto that mount, I was calculating the other day, and then of course I saw an exception, duh. But let's take worst case scenario. I was calculating the other day, I've got canes blooming from the class of 2020, and they already bloomed last year. So that's just about 3 years. So 2020, I've got 21 in bloom. That's 2 years since they've been pinned up there. So you're not that far off. To get them to this size, yes, every year progressively the canes get longer and bigger. Sandra G in the house. It's good to see you, Sandra, all the way from Germany. Hey, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that. Noise pollution, we are here on the patio in the raw. It's a beautiful day. There is no wind, and everybody wants to partake. So, Sandra, we've got some new names in here from the last year. We've got Ladybug. She has a channel. She does crafts like quilting, and she goes live together with Nocturnal Butterflies Easy Recipes. They do combined lives, and that's not only great recipes and tips and things, there's also gardening and all that fun stuff to enjoy on Nocturnal Butterflies recipes. So if you're interested, the links have been pinned up in the chat. And maybe you already know Julie's Orchids, I'm not sure. But it is good to have you. I hope you're having some great weather. Veruca Salty Salt. Veruca, it's good to see you. It is so, Veruca comes from a community that, well, how do I explain? Veruca, do you have a diplomatic way of explaining this community that we come from as well? If I say drama, how does that interpret? It's rough, is all I can say. But it's good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. We're tiny, we're toony, we've got to be a little loony if we are in that community. It's so appreciated. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah. Hey, Linda. Nice to see you too. Constantly changing. Well, there's only a couple of more days to go for May the 15th. I used to remember that date always because the garden centers would have all the spring blooming, everything for spring containers out, and you just want to shop end of March through April, and then they kept talking about 15th of May, last day of frost, do not plant anything, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, then why are you selling it? I was so mad. So I hope it steadies out for you. It's so good to see Linda in the house. I am so happy that you're here. I'm hoping you're having a fabulous day. You're going to put your plants out for the year today. Oh, plant shuffle. I like plant shuffle. I did a little bit yesterday. I think my Fred Clacchiara can come out now as well. I didn't want the roots to stall with the night temperature, so I put it back inside. But yeah, I know, right, Sandra? All these beautiful colors, everything there on offer, and it smells so great. And the weather is warming up. You're already out on the golf course, or you're sitting having a Barsteiner in a coffee shop or at the golf club. And then they say, wait until the 15th of May. And I'm like, what? Yeah, that's another thing. The tulips are already popping out, and boom, they get hit with a frost. It's like, I am so fed up. I remember my big garden in Hamburg. Goodness me. I dug out, I don't know, a 20, maybe 30 square meter pond, all the levels, when I was pregnant with my daughter, because I was fed up of mowing such a big lawn. So I went out and started digging out a pond just to reduce the lawn size. And I encountered all the building rubble from when the house was built. So that was a nice project, but I did it. And I celebrated my first dragonfly. Oh my. I want to plant this weekend, get everything outside, but we're supposed to wait until May 2nd. I know, right? It's like, excuse me, I've got other things to do. I need to do this today because the other days I'm kind of busy. and I don't want to wait any longer than that. 36 degrees C for 1 week, then frost again. That is insane. My body would be screaming all the way into the bathtub. And then good luck trying to get me out of it. I need like one of those lever things, you know, a hydraulic lift to get me out of my tub. It can still snow. 26. Well, 26 is more than I've had here. We're supposed to get to 26 maybe in a couple of days. 27. Exactly. You've had it warmer than I've had. I've been around 22, 23 during the day, and then 11, 12, 13 at night. I'm like, what? Why? In April? No, don't like it. Whereas at the beginning of April, I was 22, 23 during the day, but 14, 15, 16 at night. Madness. Oh, let me tell you, anybody in Canada having to put up with those conditions, you have, well, all I can say is mad respect. Look, when things start to cool down rapidly, November, December, January, I literally go into some kind of perma-freeze mode in my brain. It takes an exponential amount of energy for me to get to focus, for one, get through the day, do things, because it's like my body just seizes up, and you can knock me over. And then to think of snow in June, I'm like, oh, I can't. My goodness, it's happened, hopefully. Oh my goodness. Oh, you guys, I have been watching all the tornadoes, and I was really concerned about all of that. While I was living in Dallas, I can assure you I've never experienced a tornado, and I don't ever want to. It's not something I want to have any claim to fame with. But when my radio interrupted the music I was playing or the phone call I was on with that eerie, horrible sound, weather alerts, blah de blah, I was like, blah. No, 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 no. Insane. I was once in a storm and I was parked outside Walmart because I didn't dare drive. I thought it was going to lift me. It was pushing. Thank God the parking lot was empty. And I put myself in a position with my wheels in such a way that if the wind were to push me, I would maybe go in circles. Insane. I was so scared. I just wanted to come home to Spain. No, I don't want to. What I saw, I'm telling you what I saw. Luckily, it was pretty much, probably about 20 minutes it lasted. And then I, with shaking knees on the clutch, crept my way back home. I'm telling you, I was so, so scared. I just, and then I rented a garage because I lived in an apartment like 30 minutes from work, and I just thought, don't hail while I'm on my way home. But I rented a garage specifically because of the size of the hail and the damage it would do to my car. I needed that car because of leaving the US. That car was my moving budget and my flight home when I sold it. I can't tell you how freaked out I was. I saw one storm come in and I was happily on my way home. I wasn't far from home, but I was driving towards it. When you have these dark blue, gray, dark clouds, it looked like something from Independence Day was crawling over the sky. I was like, yeah, right. You were at an Applebee's during getting ready to get, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. At least they had their customers in mind. But I think somewhere somewhere I read that there was like 75 tornado touchdowns during like 48 hours or something, and then more groupings and clusters and areas were affected. And then I saw a storm chaser, Reed Timmer, I think is his name. I saw that he saved a family that had a tornado had just ripped through their house, and he saved a family, and all of that was on a live stream. Thankfully, I wasn't watching the live stream, but I was alerted by some friends to go check out a link, and I'm just like, my word. I was freaking out for you guys. I really was. Yeah, I did. I lived in Dallas, Carrollton to be exact. And it was pretty nice. It was so expensive though. Little 2-bedroom place and garage. And every year they would raise the rent. For what? Every year. And I was hustling to save my money to get back to Spain. So it was a nightmare 3 years. But it was necessary because the economy here had gotten pants. It's gone downhill, and I couldn't find any work. And I thought, why not? I have so much of the United States culture in my brain from high school in Kenya that I thought it's going to be a breeze. But trust, it wasn't. I think I have PTSD from my 3 years in the USA. And you know what? I only realized when I got back and saw my first rainbow again that I hadn't seen a rainbow for about, a good part of 3 years. I don't know. And I love I love colors. And then, of course, the trees would start blooming in spring. Finally, we are going to see some color, and all of a sudden the winds would come, blooms are gone, 24 hours. If you didn't see them today, you won't see them tomorrow. It's just like, oh no. Thankfully, I buried myself in work. So it was basically work, drive home, walk my dog, sleep, get up, walk my dog, work, drive home, walk my dog, la 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 la, like that. And then we could pack up and go home. I know this isn't orchid talk, but it's Gawkin talk. You see what I did there? It's a flask baby. Okay, so it's a flask baby. Did I miss your comment, Julie's son? Wait. Hang on a second. I didn't know you. Yes, okay. We are about 60 miles from the massive tornado damage. Oh no. Welcome to the sounds of my gate. Not mine, but beyond the hedge. That's when you see little editing things that I do in videos when I film where I'm sat. You'll see editing things because of that clanging. Nobody needs to hear that unless I'm in the middle of something I've just said and the clanging happens. 1 mile wide. Good grief. Oh gosh, Linda, I'm so glad you're safe. You're moving from a large, oh, Dorothy. You're moving from a large tin can into a smaller tin can, so any strong wind makes, yeah. Apparently, Brea, this is, the last springs weren't that bad. Maybe I'm mistaking the information. I don't know. And that is why it is so surprising that now it's so vicious. I hope it doesn't continue into the summer either. Lived in Texas as a kid. I don't miss, oh no, bushfires. Oh yeah. I'm glad we're kind of far away from any fires, with the exception of 1 year where I was like, you guys, it's a little bit hot and toasty on my patio, and this is what I have to do today. Sorry, no videos. I'll see you on the scorched other side. And then Michael McCarthy did actually mention something because, I mean, I do follow Kenya a little bit, but there has been some serious flooding there because they're in their rainy season now. 165 or 170,000 people are displaced. Dams have broken, or no, not broken. Dams have overflown, and rivers are, well, they've burst their banks. It is horrendous what's going on there. Nairobi that's the capital. It has been cut off, most of the access roads. And then the area that I went to school, because I thought, oh, if this is happening in the flatter areas around Nairobi, I wonder what is going on in Kijabi, where I went to school. So I Googled that, and sure enough, the worst of the worst. I remember in a live stream once I was talking about, and I have an orchid called Kenya Mud for a reason, because I just love the red earth of Kenya. Going on safari when it's dusty, it would get in your nose, in your hair. You didn't realize how dirty you were until you got in the shower. But I love that red earth. It reminds me. Anyway, so Kenya mud is something very, very specific. It's almost like a clay. The minute it gets in contact with water, it won't saturate. First of all, a lot of erosion will happen if there's no trees or brush or anything like that with the roots to keep the silt in place. And if it hasn't rained for a long time, that's the first thing that's going to head down the rivers. That's why you see, despite pollution, but many of the rivers up in the highlands are also red and muddy looking because of that. But once the earth saturates and starts to absorb, the clay gets heavier and heavier and heavier. Then no amount of roots is going to keep a mountainside or a hillside in place. It's going to slide. And under all that clay is a lot of rock and debris. And it goes into the tiny little creeks that form around the little hills that are in the area of Kijabi where I used to go to school. And there's a village there. You got Kijabi Old, or I don't know what they call it now, but I'll just say Kijabi Old, and then there's a newer part, and then there's my campus where I used to go to school, a little bit below the hills, and there were train tracks along the top where we were not supposed to go. They were outside of the boundary of the campus. Back then, the campus didn't have a fence, so who cares, who knew, whatever, we went up there anyway. And these train tracks aren't exactly wide, modern. And even when I saw the images the other day, I thought, oh, they haven't done any refurbishments to anything. Sorry about that. They haven't done any refurbishments to anything since I went there to school. Same narrow little tracks. Even the tracks were narrow. Same. Nothing had changed. And then there was a culvert at the bottom, and it was actually funny because the guide was taking tourists through a culvert where we used to hide out to skip school. No, not skip school, sorry, skip church on Sundays. Yes, that would be me. Not 3 Sundays, but 1 Sunday a month I would skip church because it was a 3-hour service, and it was all in Kikuyu on hard wooden benches in a brick building that even in Kenya, well, we were never at school during the summer, so during the December, January sessions, it was freezing cold. And everything was in Kikuyu, and I'm sorry, I don't understand Kikuyu. But being the fact that we were a missionary school up in Kijabi, and, well, we were connecting with the locals by going to church there. Their church was built by the African Inland Mission, which is the authority that runs the school I went to. Well, yeah, no. So there was a culvert where either we could sneak down there and wait it out and then sneak out the other side, go up into the hills, and then we would be in like a waterfall area where, close your ears. We would strip to our undies and just be daft for 3 hours. And then we would dry off in like natural hammocks, which all viney and intertwined. And we would just lollygag in the sun until we were dry, put our clothes on, and then go through that culvert again and sneak back and find our way with the crowd to the dining hall. Anyway, said culvert has been a tourist attraction. I couldn't believe it. And the guide said, the tourists like it here because it's dark and mysterious. And I thought, okay, whatever, fine. Anyway, said culvert is no more. And all the train tracks, everything has been washed away that form part of that valley. Long story short, to get to a point, huh? Like I said, shut me up. Anyway, African stories, Bria, thank you very much. That goes down super well. Headstones and headlines. Hello. Headstones and headlines. I'm going to give you a wrench if you're into true crime stories, if you like true crime, or if you like to be on a word game every once in a while. Headstones and headlines has Wordsy Wednesday, which is too late for my time zone. So I can't really participate because I would have to engage my brain and then I don't get any sleep at all, but that's always good fun. And if you want to drop your link, Headstones, please do so. How come that's not a mod there? Oh, well, maybe the next time you comment, there you go. But Headstones and Headlines also does true crime. And she addresses cases and things that happen in the United States for the most part, and does it in such a respectful, gentle, kind way that, well, I like her channel because she comes across without, you see, it's difficult to bring attention to a true crime case without crossing the boundary of being exploitative, if that makes sense. But I like Headstone and Headlines because she takes the articles, the facts, she matches them up with maybe some body cam footage. So I like it. That being said, there you go. Headstones and Headlines. If you're into true crime, or Wordsy Wednesdays, where she has little games. I love true crime. That even sounded wrong the way I just said that. In order for there to be content, there's always a tragedy. So take what I just said not with a sense of gore. That's not it. I think I can relate to true crime because of my own situation, and I feel I can relate to those left behind. And even though I have no connection with people like that, I'll leave it like that. Fill in the blanks because I find it hard to explain. Thank you. A new channel, that's right. She does a great job. I like it. I like it. There are other true crime channels that are much bigger with a larger audience, but I find that a lot gets lost in the authenticity of how the presenter brings the information. Let's put it that way. I enjoyed Headstones and Headlines a lot. Yeah, I know. It's difficult, isn't it? Headstones. I understand that there is, well, you know, you can speculate the ifs and buts based on the information provided, but to go beyond that is then where I find I draw a line. I can't listen to anything beyond, you know, yes, you can say, okay, I'm going to read an article, and I'm like, yeah, I can read that one myself, but sometimes it's nice that somebody's doing that legwork. I just put my headphones on, go about my business, watering or shuffling around my orchids, and I get the information. And then there There is no invasiveness in how you do it. I like that a lot. So Freya likes my Kenyan stories. Now, if you see the mud in Kenya, that's why I had to have that Ancelia africana, which is blooming for the first time. Woohoo! You can walk through that mud while it's wet, barefoot. It'll leave your footprint for years, because even once it's dry, it is so precise. It is so precise. It won't erode that quickly. Joe! Yes! It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. Oh, fantastic. I'm loving this. This is amazing for a first live that people are actually able to see and find it. I also, last year, what I've noticed was when I did put the notifications or the schedule out, it would take a long time for the notification or the community post or anything to be posted by YouTube to create awareness. So Headstones, for example, also I noticed that I get some notifications from her channel if she's got a live scheduled, and it's, let's say, 5-6 days ahead of time, because I'm like, ooh, yay, here we go. And then I look at the date and I go, oh, shucks, I've got to wait. Okay. But at least they go out. So maybe that's the difference. The problem is with my streams, as you can hear, the noise pollution is something else. And I hope that it's not too much of an issue. And I always feel a little bit guilty for what you can hear when I'm streaming live. And then another thing is to have a wind still day, because one thing is the noise pollution. Okay, I suppose I could mute my mic, but I'm afraid to touch any buttons at the moment. We're live. Let's keep it that way. But I suck at sign language. But anyway, yeah, and then if it's windy and noise pollution. So for me to schedule a live, but we're coming into the better time of year, so I'm hoping we get lucky. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for liking. Yes, absolutely. Any kind of engagement is awesome. Any engagement, liking the live, sharing the live, that's great. And the fact you're here. And Amina, whoo, Amina, I haven't seen you in a hot minute. It is so good to see you. Wow, I'm welling up, guys. Told you I'm built close to the water at the moment. The relief of the winter is gone. It's like it's coming over me to be here sitting. Oh, it's so good to see you, Amina. Goodness me, I almost missed that, because when I talk, I'm moving my head, moving my hands. A lot less than I think. Oh, goody. I'm glad. And it's your mom's birthday. The weather is sunny. A lot of new cattleyas on the porch. Is 3 buds, and they open today. Well, Joe, I would say you are already having a sparkling Saturday. That is amazing. Well, happy birthday to your mom. Congratulations on Stromsland, Eric. Stromsland, that sounds Norwegian, and Eric, very Norse. Amina's been life, studying, work, kids. Yes. All the fun things. I hope everybody is well, Amina. Yes, that would be amazing, Joe. Do you have a separate channel? Or is this your channel account? If you have a link that you would like to put into the comments, I've just made you a moderator so that you can post a link. At least we won't miss it. No pressure. No pressure, just so that we don't miss it when it happens. If you have a separate channel, I mean, I can go to Joe and you know, I think I'm subscribed to you anyway. I normally do that with everybody that I can see as subscribed to me, whether they post content or not. But yay, happy days. Happy to hear that, Amina. You're going to be even busier when the little ones get out of school. Cough, cough. I know why people have children while they're young. I don't know how I did it. Single parent, 2 little ones, working full time. And my mental frame of mind now, I would have a real struggle with that. No, you're not. You're mostly just a viewer. Yes, but if you have a link you would like to post so that when you do your little tour that we can get to see things, let's get ahead of it. Or unless you're planning a different account altogether, then you must let me know so that I can find you and post it on a community post of mine. Either way, no pressure. Just the option is there if you want it. Six, and now you can, that's great. That's great. I loved the teen years with my children. Oh my. But we're not going to go there. Hang on a second. I'm just going to move my berry Oda. I just need to get her out of the sun. She's stressed. I don't want her to be stressed with too much light. And we're going to move my Roy Tokunaga, these flipping dendrobiums. A film not included, but others that seem to... I have a theory about the berry Oda and about the Roy Tokunaga. I'm not touching the Roy Tokunaga this season. Those roots are like glass. I don't want to. But she's not doing well for me. She came from an order from a German nursery that does not get a mention on my channel. But let me just see. I just have to make sure that everything that's not supposed to have too much sun now is out of the sun. Whoopee, we're in this time of year. And if you saw something past your screen that looked like a Michelin Man in gray, that's me with my blankie around my waist. if it suddenly got dark. The nursery that shall not be named, and of all things, a German one. Insane. But anyway, that's the problem. And that is why I've got an anosmum, and that's what I was mentioning with Julie just earlier. Even if the canes are small, they will bloom, but maybe only 2 blooms, and that goes for the anosmum as well. I was hoping to have a species anosmum, a specimen anosmum now, next to the aphyllum. That was the plan for this side of the gate. I've got 2 little ones that look like they are just little wiener sausages. And since 2018, they haven't grown. Thank you for the live reactions. That's really, really sweet. It is easy to film with a smartphone and upload. Absolutely, yes. That's true. Yes, an iMovie. Oh, wow. Let me tell you, Ladybug, somebody asked me, why don't you go with something, I don't know what the other editing software is that a lot of people use. I'm like, I'm not even using all the functionalities of iMovie. Why would I? And then I feel bad because I didn't. Or I watch the video back once it's uploaded. I'm like, no, you could have done this. No, why didn't you think of doing that or including that? Don't give me anything that can do more. I think iMovie is great for the standard that, for at least what I can present and produce and the time I have available. Yeah, they do. I think I have. Hey, Bryce Leonard from the Philippines. Yes, I am just watching the time and seeing how many people I can cover. To know that Philippines is here is a good sign. Thank you for joining and thank you for the comment. Trust, I'm making mental notes here. I don't know if they still sell with Fusarium. I wouldn't know, Sandra. I haven't bought from them ever since September of 2018. I haven't. I'm traumatized still. But my anosmum hasn't been completely absorbed, so we'll see what it does this year. She's not in the way. She's not in the way. I'm more a little bit annoyed with my Oncidiums, to be honest. The declining Oncidiums. That's something that annoys me. I mean, one was a rescue. Okay, so I rescued her. Two, actually, were a rescue. I've rescued them. And they keep bouncing down again to back to rescue mode. And now they have this affliction around their pseudobulbs that the bulbs are clean, but something came and attacked them. And it looked like Boys Dubai scale, but they've been clean ever since. And nope. So I'm thinking, well, if you don't, I'm not going to waste my time here. We have this season. We'll see how it goes. I'll give them my best. I haven't given up on them yet, but another refurb, repot is in the cards. I've cut all the blooms off. Don't want them to bloom too long, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff has happened. But anyway. Talked with Butterfly into trying and she went crazy and learned how to... You see? You see, because once you've got the know-how, you actually maneuver a little quicker, and then it's like, and I can do this, and then I can do that, and then I can do this, and da 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 da. I haven't exhausted that software, so Final Cut Pro. That is the one people are talking about. I'm like, oh hell no. I know what it can do. I don't need to do that. I'll drive myself crazy because you see, I stand in my own way. One day I was thinking, I'm just going to pick up my phone, record a video, and upload it. Finito. And then I think, yeah, no. But if the summer gets a little bit hectic, I may just have to do that. I don't know. It bothers me because I know that things are like, instead of describing a bloom, I can pop an image on the screen, stuff like that. And the same when it comes to names. I want names on the screen unless I'm only dealing with one orchid and I keep talking about it and the name is in the title. I don't always have to pop the name on the screen. But if I'm doing something else, I want names on the screen because everybody's pronunciation is different and it may be important to some and it may not work, other people, who cares? It doesn't matter. But if it's one person that wanted the name, there it is up on the screen. And that's what I can't work around that part of my personality. Oh, Bryce Leonard, thank you so much. I appreciate that. We are slowly getting there with the support. Excuse me. Frogs are a thing on live streams. And squeaky tires too. I mean, squeaky brakes. Anyway, with all the support that's coming in and filtering in, I have to say that I am grateful, considering the circumstances with regards to location, timing, as to when I started posting videos, blah, 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 limitations based on, be it budget or, it's me, my patio, and the orchids. It's astounding, and I'm so grateful to everybody. So we're getting there, Bryce Leonard. Thank you. I appreciate that comment a lot. Yes, videos. Sorry. You see, that's a habit of mine because you just saw it there. I was talking, the gate clanged, stopped talking because that's what I do when I'm recording a video. I forget that. It's become such a habit. It's so ingrained that if I'm not moving my hands on the screen, stop talking and repeat what I say when the gate has stopped clanging. And then hopefully cut that part out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It is. It is. I spent, oh my goodness, not complaining here, not complaining because time flies when you're having fun. My debunking catacetum video took 8 hours. I will let that information sink in. 8 hours. And the reason I know that, to be that exact, usually I have an approximation, because sometimes I start a project and I limit myself to what I'm going to do for that project because I've got other things I need to get done, but I have an hour to spare. So the reason I know that is because I started editing and I did not stop except to go and get myself either another coffee or another beverage or something. And I was looking at the time all the time because I need to get my bird out. Speaking of which, there may be a moment of silence. If I can get him into the jungle gym, he needs to come out. He needs his free flight. And I was always looking at the time to make sure that I wasn't going like overtime so that the bird can't come out or it's too late or whatever. I don't want him to get beaky on me. And, well, I finished before the bird came out. It was a rainy day, luckily, because none of the orchids were watered. Some didn't even make it outside. I got up and I was like, am I even going to be able to walk properly? So now imagine you give me a software that has more functionalities. Nah. Mm-mm. I really don't think that it would make that big a difference. Time flies when you're editing. Yeah. And then I started with the shorts back in October. And I thought all I'm going to do with the shorts is just little blooms here, there, everything that's in bloom that I haven't shown on the video, blah, blah, blah. And they were easy. And behold, I'm adding commentary, I'm adding elements, I'm finding little things that are just shorts worthy. And suddenly we've got another project. Instead of 30 minutes, it takes about an hour and a half for 34 seconds, depending. The Nemo element that I did for, I don't know, but I'm having so much fun with it. That's the thing. This is what kills me. I'm having so much fun that I wish I didn't have to worry about all the other things that are compelling me to freak out. But my little Nemo thing was during a week, I worked on him to extract him from an image, to make him my own, so to speak, so I don't get any copyright dings. And I worked on him. There was 2 images and to animate him, enhance him, get the colors right, comparing him with the originals, blah, blah, blah. For a good part of 4 days on and off, it was my break time. I would work on the Nemos. And then I put them into a short. 24, maybe 26 seconds. Like, Nina, stop. Just stop. Today. Yeah. Speaking of stopping, today I looked at one of my thumbnails for when I moved my Angraecoids out. And I thought, is this such a special day for me on the patio when my Angraecoids come out into the deep south? What am I doing with this drab looking overcast day thumbnail? And I thought, King Julian, he is from Madagascar too. So, because I couldn't do much in preparation for the live, I didn't want to get carried away and be late. I took an image of King Julian, worked on him, made him pretty. Hopefully I don't get dinged because I did enough transformation, put him on my thumbnail, and instead of saying the stage is set, I've got, I like to move it. I'm sorry. I know, it's terrible when people crack up on their own jokes, but trust, I live a very secluded life, so who else would I laugh at except myself? I'm telling you. But I just thought he's from Madagascar. I was moving Angraecoids, orchids from Madagascar, and I thought, yeah, whatever. We are going to try King Julian. I like to move it. See what happens. You gotta try. And in the meantime, I had this huge grin on my face. He's one of my favorite characters anyway. So, oh my word. And with that, oh, I haven't lost anybody. That's nice. I was gonna say, people are gonna go, yeah, this is not really orchid related. But you know what? I think that the orchid community can do with a real little shakeup. I think that we should connect a little bit more when it comes to humor. As far as I'm concerned, you know, I don't know. There are so many fun things. That's just my opinion. I guess each to their own. I shall better not say much more than that because I am in a drama community, and it's like maybe I shouldn't introduce anything into the orchid community. But you know, we can always attract the people that feel the same way and can have a good laugh at themselves, with themselves, about themselves. That is a film. Ure Amazona, that's a film, yes. That is a very beautiful, beautiful blooming. Doesn't last long. So this is not exactly a tradition. I mean, just doing it 2 years in a row, a stream like this with the Aphyllum in bloom, it's not quite considerable to be a tradition, but maybe next year I can call this a tradition. It's good to see you, Ray Amazona. It's so good to have you here. Another wonderful, wonderful person from the Philippines. I hope you had a fabulous Saturday. I was hoping to see Sir Tom. Orchid Fortress is a channel. I was hoping to see Verdayton. Oh gosh, Turf. The Verdayton Turf, something like that. Two guys in the Philippines as well. But maybe they can't make it. I just recently found out that Orchid Fortress has been watching me for quite some time, but never commented. So I have a little bone to pick with that, with that person, Sir Tom. I kept telling him, I'm still mad at you for not commenting all these years. And I kind of stumbled on his channel. Don't remember how that worked out. Commented and I said, that is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And he went all, I can't believe Ninja Orchids is here. And I'm like, and who are you? Why do you know me? And he was telling me, and I was like, okay, now I'm really mad at you. It needs shaking up. Yes. We're gonna very gently, Brea. Gently. Don't want to let me tell you, if I had 50,000 subscribers, I would come in like a wrecking ball. At the moment, I have to tiptoe a little bit, you know, feel the mood, feel the vibe, get suggestions as to how far is too far, you know, stuff like that. Hobbies are fun. Absolutely. I remember somebody left a comment. She's new, and if you're in here, say hi. If you recognize what I'm about to say, please. Don't be shy. She said, I'm a really, really, really beginner. I only have 3 orchids. And I said, we all had 3 orchids at one point, and we're all beginners. Every day. Every day. No matter if you've grown an orchid a year or been growing orchids for long, every day. It's like, what are you doing now? And sometimes it's, oh my goodness, look at what you're doing now. And sometimes it's like, what are you doing now? Why? Why? So we're all beginners all the time. 11 p.m. on a Saturday night. Sacrilege, sleeping at 11 p.m. for years. You see, Ladybug, that makes you an orchid grower for a long, long time. It matters not. 1 orchid, 2 orchids. Some people have so many orchids they actually lose orchids because they don't have the time to take care of them all. I lost orchids in the past because I cared too much. And it was like, but I loved you. I loved you. Why are you doing this? I loved you. Oh, Debbie. Oh, hello. How are you? It's good to see you. My way or the highway? Yeah, well, we're gonna do... Anyway, let's just say not quite that soon. Hey, look, if my channel gets to 50,000 subscribers in the next 4 months, we shall be drawing the chalk line, redrawing it, okay? We'll draw a whole new line, and we are going to put gaps in between that line for everything creative, beautiful, fun, weird, and in quotes, unacceptable to seep through. It won't be a solid line. Blooming. That's awesome. I love them to death. Absolutely, Brea. I did. Okay, can I just try and see if I can get my bird into the jungle gym? If you don't mind. Again, if your screen goes dark gray, that's me. That's that cloud wafting by with the woolly blanket wrapped around her waist, all right? Please don't be put off. And if you hear any crackling, it's probably me distancing myself from the receiver with the mic. Are you coming inside? Maneki. If you hear any fluttering, squawking, or anything like that, he's fine, okay? It may sound like there's war, but what I'm going to try and do is grab him or gently get him within my hands, let's put it that way, and put him into the jungle gym, otherwise he will refuse. And I don't want to cut this stream short just yet. Thank you. Mineki. Would you step up? You're a good bird. Oh, you're a good bird. Oh, you step up. Hey. Hey. Hello. Would you come outside? Huh? Oh, you're a good bird. Can you come outside and say hi? Yeah? There you go. Woo! Step up. There you go. Good bird. Yeah. Whoop. Okay, I'm gonna spoil your view just for a moment. There we go. Hello. Now you're gonna have to hopefully be okay with the squawking. He's saying hi, and I hope it's not too piercing, otherwise I'm gonna distance myself from him. He's about 5 feet away from me. If this is not good on the ears, if anybody's wearing earbuds, please let me know. Because he has, what do you call it? Different decibels that the mic could hit differently. Anyway, so he's outside, and like I said, if I didn't have this issue with how the stream is going through the browser of the phone, I would show him to you, but I can't. Right now, he's rearranging the facade. I'm telling you, if you need a handy bird demolishing things, get yourself a cockatoo. I love this bird. He drives me crazy, though. At least now I'm doing something constructive. I'm sitting here, I'm talking to you, I'm looking at my beautiful blooms together with you. But when he comes out of his cage, I have, for as long as he likes to be outside, because he will pretty much get a little bit fed up and then wants to be back indoors, and usually finds his own way back in his own time. But I'm stuck. I can't sit at my desk, do any work. If he's in the jungle gym, like now, I could start filming, but you know, without all the other noise pollution, add his peeps to that, it gets pretty messy. So I have usually 2.5 hours, sometimes 3, where I'm like twiddle-dee, twiddle-dum. Anyway, when we eat popcorn. Excuse me. I would love to see the Philippines, the island of Luzon. If I were to go to the Philippines, I would find my way to Luzon. That place, I've flown there many, many times on Google. Headstones, I really appreciate that. You had a moment on your Saturday to come in here. Thank you so, so much. And I look forward to whenever you have time to bring attention to the next case. Thank you. Much appreciated, Headstones. I'm telling you. The island of Luzon, and then, of course, I would love to go to Madagascar. And you know what annoys me is I used to live very close to there. I did see it out of my binocs on my way to Mauritius and Réunion. That's as close as I got to Madagascar, but... And I would like to go to Minas Gerais in Brazil. Then hike up, well, I think somebody needs to take me piggyback up those mountains to where Rubiculus lelias live. I was going to say, hike up. Really, Nina? What do you think? You're back in your Kilimanjaro years? Forget it. Piggyback. Like the lady on Kilimanjaro, that when we were climbing it, there was a very, very, well, now I have to be careful of what I determine as old, but let me just say, I was 17, and age was a different perception at the time. Let me just put it that way. For me, she was very old. And we were struggling, out of breath, trying to get up that mountain on our last climb. Don't know what time of day, night it was, but we started out at midnight to get to the summit. And while we were doing the counting with our guide, because that was one way to get oxygen into our lungs, is to count out loud with him, and it would lull us into a trance so that we were not aware of what we were doing, kind of thing. It was all psychological. There comes a lady with her walking stick going a straight line instead of the S shape, you know? Round and round like you're not getting anywhere type thing. Straight line with her guide, but he was carrying an oxygen bottle. I was like, oh, that's how you do it. Is that how you do it? So, that reminds me, that would be me in Minas Gerais. A guide, oxygen bottle, and me piggyback like that. Yes, I did. 1984. Yes, ma'am. And oh boy, when we talk about mud and dirty, no shower for 6 days. 7. Yeah, we were on the mountain 7 days. 5 up, 2 down. It was amazing. There's a live stream. There's a playlist I have, Orchids and Stories. I know that I'm dealing with an orchid there, but I talk about it. Which is something I forgot. Oh, I forgot to do that for this stream. I was going to get a notebook and a pen. And as I talked, I was going to put timestamps to make it easier for people just to flip around. Anyway. She's got Bette Davis eyes. Hello, Bet. It's good to see you. Hey, welcome. Happy Saturday to you. Senora Nina, well, aren't we just? Hello. She's got Bette Davis eyes. Anyway, there is and I actually tracked it on Google Earth. I went to Google Earth, zoomed in some areas, but the path, how we went from camp to camp to camp. And while I'm not in any of the pictures, I was taking the pictures. You can see the fashion statements back in the day. Marvelous experience. The whole story of my Kili climb is documented in one of the videos in my Orchids and Stories playlist. But let's just say the cliff notes, pardon intended. Oh my goodness. It was wonderful. I wish I could find the picture that somebody did take of me outside the outhouse. I know, charming, huh? You could see me all huddled up and bunched up in clothes that were mine but weren't mine. They were all a mishmash of warm clothing and many, many, many layers, because I used to live on the coast of Mombasa, and Kijabi is quite high altitude. But I didn't ever bring back my winter clothes that I got in Germany when I used to visit my grandparents for Christmas, because by the next year they would be too small. Why am I lugging them to Kenya? I don't need them. So I had this whole collection of, I don't know, borrowed stuff. Anyway, the outhouse was an experience. There was 2 outhouses, but the one right on top before you get to the summit, the last base camp before the summit climb, it is so cold. It is so cold. And that picture, I know it. I see it in my head. And why the outhouse? The highest outhouse in Africa? Maybe that's why I was doing it. I don't know. But even though I don't show my face now, present day, I have no problems. If I ever find that picture, I'm going to post it because I so wanted that in the video. Anyway, and that's where you can see, yeah, this person is just not built for cold temperatures. Posing by an outhouse. Anyway, and then there's the other outhouse that's like halfway up. It's the one with the longest drop. Make no mistake. I say it as it is. It's just like that. And it has the best view. Once you get over the threshold of stepping from where you are, terra firma, so to speak, on a cliff edge, into what at the time was a a wooden shack type thing with a roof. It was nice. And some privacy, not much, but some. Noises not exempt. The best view. At least they didn't block the front of it. They blocked back and left and right, the sides, so you had some privacy. Once you could step over that threshold and you saw the gap and the drop, and then you put your trust into, it also depended how desperate you needed to go, because that was the last kind of motivator. Can I even do this? It was like, I'm going to hog this space now because I'm in the best view ever when it comes to having to do business on the side of Kilimanjaro. And those pictures are in that video. It's just amazing. Oh, the 80s. Oh, love the 80s. Colorful, blousy, big hair, poofy things on your shoulders called shoulder pads. Wonderful. Wonderful. Ladybug, I'm telling you. I had some in our group. It was a class trip. Okay, so juniors and seniors at the time went for end of January, I think it was. Not entirely sure. I would have to look at the date on my climbing certificate. I'm not sure what month it was. But we used to have junior senior trips. And it was one, and you could choose where you wanted to go. And you would be chaperoned, you would be taken, there would be either 2 staff members, depending on the size of the group, or 3. And then you'd be gone for a week from campus, while everybody else also has a week off, but not being juniors, they don't join. Anyway, so you signed up for these trips. And there were some of these trips were more expensive than others. Some of them were more popular than others as well. Kilimanjaro was one of the more expensive ones, but not one of the more popular ones. one of the more expensive ones, but very popular ones, was if you were going to go down to the coast, Mombasa. Everybody just wanted to lollygag around on the beach for a week. And I'm like, well, I'm from Mombasa. What am I not going to be able to do in decades to come? And I made sure I was on that list. And juniors didn't have priority when it came to choosing where they wanted to go. So I made sure I was up waiting for that list to be posted on our public boards where you had to sign up. I was there in the dark, waiting, because if the seniors were to fill the list and the amount of people joining, then that's it. You'd be booted off because you were a junior. But at least I had 2 shots. I was going to try in my junior year. I was going to try again in my senior year if I were to luck out on my junior year. There were other trips that I could have joined. They wouldn't be as full, right? And if I had to go to the coast, okay, so big deal. I'll just go to where I was anyway. But having said, no, not anyway. I used to live, for everybody that doesn't know, I used to live in Mombasa. Anyway, I made it on that list. And my friends said, you're crazy. Why would you do that? That is so dumb. Like another trip was going on safari to Taita Hills, and Tahita Hills is like a day trip from Mombasa. If you, for example, go visit from Mombasa and you only have like a week, 10 days, you would go for a safari to Tahita Hills. It's a 2.5-hour drive into the highlands. You see some animals, probably not even a lion, and you've been on safari. Why would I do that? I've done that since I was little, and I was like, no. And that also meant you'd stayed in a hotel. So that was another very, very popular trip everybody wanted to join because they wanted to stay at Tahita Hills Lodge. I'm like, but I'll never forget it. Never, ever, ever forget it. So beautiful to go through the tropical jungle. Well, first of all, you feel as though you're driving halfway up the mountain. So this is a breeze. We're already halfway there. Oh boy, was I wrong. Was I wrong? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, I'm not even looking at chat because I don't know. You can see I've lost some people with me rattling away about these things. I don't have any hair either today. I was putting a cap on that I wear every day because my mic is pinned to the cap and it's loose. I'm like going, oh, please. I think, yeah. The outhouse with the best drop. You could cliff dive off there. It would take you longer than everything else to get to the bottom. I'm sorry. It's one I shouldn't have looked at chat. Oh my goodness. Oh, oh my gosh. Because it is so true though. It is one of those cliffs that if you could, you could actually have your parachute on the back, run off the cliff and deploy, and everything else would be down there sooner than you. Shoulder pads, leather jackets, leather pants, awesome. They will never die. Best music in the 80s as well. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the memories are great. To be honest with you, I very, very rarely go back to those days because my life has, not exactly panned out the way I had envisioned at that age. But it is so nice to be able to, when I do talk about it, to be able to explain it to people who are interested, If there isn't any interest, then, there's a song that says, shut up by your face. I don't know if anybody remembers that song. You see, that's what I do when I listen to true crime. I listen and I do chores. Debbie, thank you so much for being here. I know you may already be out of the chat. I'm sorry that I didn't see your message, your comment sooner. Thank you. The last time you did hiking was last year during your trip to Hawaii for my first. Oh my goodness. Ah, that is awesome. Haleakala Park. We have a crater as well. It's in Tanzania. It's called the Ngorongoro crater, and there's a whole diverse kind of wildlife that lives there. I mean, you get the normal ones as well, but because most of them have evolved and they live there, it's like it's a completely different kind of wildlife and fauna that has evolved and developed in this crater, Ngorongoro crater, which of course people now access to go to on safari. It's in Tanzania. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And in the Great Rift Valley, of course, we've got a lot of craters that are dormant. One was right opposite from the view of my school, and Suswa. That's what it was called. I was about to say, and I forgot the name. It's called Suswa. And you climb that one as well, and you could walk around the ridge of it as well. Oh, you know what? I saw when I was looking up a few things, when I was researching that Orchids and Stories video with Kili, I saw that they now have options that you can camp overnight inside the crater of Kilimanjaro. There's a camp, and it's not just a research one. And of course, it's limited access. It's not like it's a huge thing, but I'm like, yeah, no, I'm quite happy. Get up there before the sun is up. Get up there, turn around, and then enjoy the sunrise. That's it. And then, of course, go up a little bit higher to the actual top peak, Uhuru Peak, do some angels in the snow, get down. And down was fun. Down was super fun. But up, agony. Absolute agony. So what else did I miss? I know. You see, Ladybug? I would be that lady now with the oxygen tank. She was smart. She got that thing down. I'm glad that you're here and that you enjoyed it. I appreciate that. Yeah, isn't it, Joe? And that is why I always say when we grow our orchids, how we can't just look at where are they, longitude, latitude. We have to look at elevation, because there were so many orchids that grow in Kenya, and we are at the equator. But you've got the Aberdare Mountains, you've got the foothills of Kilimanjaro, you've got Taita Hills, you've got the highlands, and they're all at the equator, but we've got elevation to contend with. So just because something's at the equator doesn't mean it's a warm to hot grower. Ta-da! That's why I based a lot of my bulbophyllum care video on altitude, because they are so diverse. The care is based on altitude, literally, no matter where they're found. But I can assure you I don't want to be there right now. Well, I suppose I would want to help out. Very scary with the flooding. Very scary, because it's going to take a while. At least the Chinese will get in there quickly and help sort things out, but they are saying 3 months just to fix the rail bridge there for Kijabe, and Nakuru depends on the Kijabe Railway. Kijabe depends on Kijabe Railway. Oh, okay, Joe has just uploaded a video. You see? Edit to remove the sound. Ha. Sandra, thank you so much for being here, even though I may be late to say goodbye because I've been yapping away. Shut up on your face. Do you remember that song, Betty Daves? Bet. What's the matter, you? Hey, got no respect. What do you think you do? Hey, why are you looking so sad? It's not so bad. It's a nicer place. Ah, shut up on your face. That's the song. I love it. Woo, Bet, coming in clutch. I don't sound stupid. I know my songs. Oh my goodness. The Bananarama. Yes, I love them too. Wouldn't that be amazing? It should be a name. It's a great name. Gosh, what was one of their songs as well? It's like it's on the tip of my tongue, and if somebody were to say it, I'd feel like a fool for not remembering. 5 years after college in Japan. Now that is a culture. Thank you so much for all the sweet live reactions. I appreciate that. That is a culture I admire. I think they're fantastic. I think the West needs to adopt a lot more of how they conduct themselves. That is amazing. Do you still speak it a little bit? Do you speak some Japanese? Sorry, I'm not used to talking for this long. So if you hear a break from me talking, that is me waiting for a reply. There's always a bit of a delay. Usually I'm 11 to 12 seconds ahead of everything that I see on screen. Arigato. I forgot that one. I watched a lot of the refurbishment of the past years of how they're trying to get back to normal life after the earthquake. And there's a lot of videos that are in plain Japanese, and some of them are subtitled English. I was trying to catch things, but it's hard to read subtitles when you're trying to also look at the images. Goodness me, what a disaster. And then they got hit again on New Year's Day on the West Coast. That's insane. But what a country. I also watch a lot of the traveling, the ferry things, the overnight trains, the overnight buses. I've been watching those just to get away from other things. Kentucky Derby party across the road from your dog is flipping out. I was actually at the Derby for, was it in 95? When was I at the Kentucky Derby? I don't remember. But I remember stopping at a food truck because I needed me one of those big, juicy, dripping all over your hands, unelegantly eaten yellow mustard hamburgers from a food truck. I was dressed. What are we doing? King! No! Can't. You think this dog is growing up? It can't leave anything on the floor here. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I was dressed to the nines for the Kentucky Derby. And I was then with this in wax paper, whatchamacallit. Yeah, it was almost a sloppy Joe type of hamburger. But I loved the yellow mustard because in Europe we don't get that yellow mustard. I don't remember the year. 95 was my first class reunion, and I was in San Francisco, San Jose at the time. San Jose or San Juan? Don't remember. South of San Francisco. That was 95. Did I go to the States before that? Don't remember. Anyway, it was something, and it needed that yellow mustard. Now you can chase me down the road and tie yellow mustard around me and I would run until it fell off. But at the time I wanted yellow mustard. It was very close to when I was still in high school. Or I came out of high school. Sorry, not still in high school. When I came out of high school, and all the missionaries used to bring their huge, like, containers of American products. Probably pulled pork. Probably. But they had all their... The missionaries, they were decked out. They were decked out. They would shop until they dropped when they were on furlough. From their own toilet paper, to their own food items, to makeup, you name it. Deodorant, dishwashing liquid, clothes washing liquid, clothes. They had clothes for days. I wasn't a missionary kid, but they needed people like me there because I was paying a very high school fee. It was a boarding school. And I was paying such a high school fee per semester that I was actually paying for a whole gaggle of missionary kids who didn't have to pay as much because they were missionary kids. So I had one pair of jeans. Eventually I got two because I stopped growing so fast. I had one pair of jeans that when they were dirty, I would wash them at night with a scrubby brush, hang them, they wouldn't dry. In the morning, I would blow dry them before I actually could step into them, and the waist was always wet. But the missionary kids, they had the jeans, they had the sweaters to match, they had Nike shoes in the colors to match the jeans, where the logo of the Nike matched the color of their sweater. They were decked out to the nines. I was confused. Thank you. Thank you. I will access that later. Thank you, Joe, very much for posting that. Appreciate it. I'm telling you, I was so confused. Now, please, don't misunderstand me. I'm not expecting people to walk around in poverty if they're serving the Lord and doing things. They, of course, they get support from their church. We didn't just have the African Inland Mission, which is what the school was run under. We also had Pentecostals. We had the Baptist, Southern Baptist. So there was a whole load of missionaries from different denominations that were either teachers or, you know, or the kids came from other African countries to then be in the school. So we have people from Malawi, you know, all around Zimbabwe and even the Congo. So they were spread out all over Africa, but Rift Valley Academy was the central for American kids to go to school in an environment that was safe in accordance with many of the beliefs. Church, chapel, Bible studies, you name it, you know? Community, what did they used to call it? Care community, counselors, blah, blah, blah. But I was so shocked that, so what did they, I don't know, I had a different name. I was labeled differently. I was a third world country kid. Third world country kid is what I was labeled because I wasn't a missionary, but I was a European living in a third world country, which I thought was so weird. I was born in that country. I didn't think anything about it. There was nothing third world about it. And so I was a TWK, something like that. Anyway, they were MKs, missionary kids, and I was that other thing. But when it came to having like the goodies that, you know, I was there from when I turned 13 until I graduated when I was 18, 5 years. But when it came to the goodies, when you know you're in those impressionable teenage years, I struggled to understand how they had, especially the kids that were there because the parents were teachers on campus. They used to have their own homes. They had matching bedrooms, from the duvet to the pillows to the ruffly edges to the curtains to the carpet. They had so much, so classy, so stylish, and everything a little girl would want or a teenage girl would want, you know. And I was struggling to get clothes. And I wasn't coming from a poor family. But by no means was I in a poor family. I never wanted for anything, even though I thought, you know how kids are. I had the greatest time in my life when I was young because I could drop things and go to the beach, period. And now you would say, well, your parents didn't care for you. And I would say, you're right. My mom didn't care. I'm glad she didn't care. That's a different story. I'm just glad she didn't care. And my dad was at sea. He was the captain of a ship. So he was making good money because we didn't have to pay for our accommodations. The cement company paid for us to live where we lived. And that's where my orchid hobby started, in that garden. But anyway, I was astounded. I mean, excuse me, what kind of an even back then I was thinking, what kind of an example are you setting that you can't buy toilet paper in Kijabe? Why are you coming in with all your Avon stuff that lasts you for, you know, I don't know, 12 months before you go on furlough again. I was rich kid bedrooms. That's what it looked like to me. Everything matched. Julie! Samurai Julie-san, thank you so much for being here. Good night, sweetheart. Sweet dreams, and I wish you a beautiful Sunday morning, day, and I shall be in touch, like the pest that I am. Thanks so much for being here. Oh, and a friend of mine, like she had the dream canopy. I don't know what they're called, but you know, a brass bed with that beautiful, like a princess canopy, you name it, blah, blah, blah. I was astounded. But not in a bad way. Not even, I don't even remember in a jealous way. I was astounded. I was just confused. You know, I didn't know that missionaries could live in such luxury. I don't know. But anyway, at least I knew, I learned how to make no bakes there. I know, a canopy in baby blue. Everything was, one had chocolate, one had her, I remember a bedroom in chocolate colored, everything chocolate colored, everything matching, and the other one in baby blue. Then there was another family that had three girls, and they were all matching. One even had a water bed. It was insane, and it all came in the shipping crates, all of it. So, wow. And when there was a new teacher arriving, if there wasn't a home was built, custom. Wow, incredible. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. Leave me in the dormitory. I was happy. I was happy in my dormitory. I even made it. I even made it to resident assistance for my floor. Yes. But I tell you, if anybody ever listens to my streams that was in my high school, if they didn't know my story, they would probably go, "You are so lucky you got away with what you did." And I'm like, yeah, probably. Or smart or fair. Because everybody had the same rights as me. Everybody could break the rules the same as me as long as they were smart about it and got away with it. And then if I had a part in it, they wouldn't rag on me. And that's it. Those were the rules. Do what you want, but keep it down so you don't get caught. And if you get caught, I had no part in it, even if that was part of it. And our floor was always without any problems. I ruled the roost without ruling the roost. They ruled themselves. It was fabulous. It was clean, pristine, fantastic. Right, we weren't poor. That's right. We didn't have it like that. No. No, I mean, okay, people would say, why do you need jeans in Kenya? I didn't. But when I was moved to the boarding school where it was flipping cold in comparison to what was going on at the coast, then yes. And then you can imagine, I don't remember much bullying because I've never really paid a lot of attention to what people thought of me. They thought I was weird because I came with a British accent, so I got a little bit of static for that. The way I said, I would say names. I would call people Dawn, D-A-W-N, Dawn, instead of Dawn. I remember, that's the one thing I remember more distinctly, that a girl sort of like was in my face. That's not my name. That's not how you say my name. You talk weird. I'm like, okay, Dawn. Okay, Dawn. Crosses eyes, leans head, Dawn. Ooh, I could. When you go back to those days, you're like, oh, I'm right back in it. But anyway. But yeah, I was very surprised. And then I found somewhat my tribe, not a clique per se, but I did find my tribe. And so there was Nina, which was me, and then there was Lena. Good luck with that. Her dad was the governor of Kisumu, which is by Lake Victoria. And Lena and I got up to all sorts of nonsense. Lena and I couldn't even share a room together. Yes. there, I don't need to tell you why, but the dorm parents at the time when we wanted to move into the next year and have our roommates assigned, we were told no. We weren't even allowed to be across the hall from each other. Did it stop us? No, no. I remember Lena and I didn't want to go to school. Yes, of Kisumu. It's a town, it's a fishing town, pretty much established town up in Lake Victoria now, on the Kenyan side, of course. But yeah, she was, you see, she was another one of those that wasn't a missionary kid, but had to pay full school fees, and they needed people like us to cover the costs. Because let me just throw a figure out there. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just going to throw a perspective out there so you get an understanding. Let's say a semester cost 30,000 shillings. So 30,000, yeah? Then a missionary kid from, let's say, African Indian Mission, the mission that the school is operated by, they only paid 500 shillings for an entire semester. So I'm not a missionary kid. There was a percentage of us that had to be there by law, according to Kenya. By law, Kenyan citizens had to be included in the student body, 5%. Otherwise, they probably would have lost their rights to operate in Kenya based on their own, let's say, Americanized, standardized rules. I hope that makes sense. So Lena was one of those as well. And one group of missionary kids would pay the lowest. And then if you were a Southern Baptist, let's say, your school fee would go to 1,500 shillings. And maybe the maximum for some other denomination would be 5,000 shillings. But it would never, ever, ever, ever be the full school fee. Yes, integration, good word. You should have been taking notes, that's right. So, yeah, Lena and I got up to all sorts of stuff. When I think back now, it gives me the hibby-jibbies because things could have gotten horribly wrong. But somebody upstairs was watching out for us. Man, we used to sneak off campus in the back, in the trunk of a friend's car, and I didn't even know who the friend was. But if Lena said we were going to be picked up to get off campus, then I'm like, okay, let's go. Because she had the connections. Oh, and I remember spending half term with Lena at the governor's mansion. Oh my goodness, were we naughty on that weekend. But she is the governor's daughter, so, you know, we were going there, and the limo picked us up with the flags and everything. I said to Lena, can we put the flags down? It's a little bit obvious that we're in this car. You know, we're drawing too much attention to us. She goes, we're leaving the campus under legal times, like in proper times. Nobody's going to stop us. I said, but the flags, your dad's not in the car. She goes, shut up. Oh, we had so much fun. And that is where I was also introduced to, close your ears, but it's natural, changa. It's a huge industry now, and even in Kisumu now, I think it's a bit regulated. I don't think it's illegal, but it is it's, let's say, if you have a tea plant and it sprouts, new sprouts for the season, and those are the ones you want to pick for your tea, right? Well, there's a bush, I don't remember what it's called, but the new sprouts are tolerable to eat, but it's a drug. It keeps you awake. And you get people nibbling off the very, very tender bark, chewing it, and then discarding it by way of mouth, as far as you can. It was all very attractive. But anyway, it was called changa, I think, if I remember correct. Kat! No. Changa is something completely different. Forget it. Erase. Kat. That's what it's called. K-A-T. Maybe it's a double T. And they used to sell it in little bundles. And of course, we were too young, but the chauffeur always had changa. So, no, stop it, Nina, cut. So we got some cut. And boy, were we tired when we got back to school after half term. We needed sleep. And the trip back, it had worn off. Kratom, no. The devil's lettuce. I felt like a beetle. The only way I could tolerate it was with a candy in my mouth. I needed something sweet. It was so bitter, and that's why you could only peel off the newer growing shoots. But I remember it's called cat, not kratom, K-A-T, maybe double T. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that nocturnal butterfly. Mm-mm. I don't remember if it was with Lena or with anything, but I tried that once. Fell fast asleep. I fell up. It was like one hit, and I was like out like a light. And then when I woke up, I was hungry, and I'm like, this stuff isn't for me. Joe says, one of my first mounted orchids, Barbigerum from Centro, didn't make it after I actually cut it off the mount while trimming the roots? Oh, the bulb rotted after I had it in a small plastic. Yeah, what a shame. I actually wanted to focus a lot of my collection on Bulbophyllum until I realized that my climate is just not conducive. I love them, they're funky. Yes, the governor's mansion. The governor was a very naughty man. The things that he had in his video cassette library. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Mr. I want to say his last name, but I don't want to dox her. Tisk, tisk, tisk. But we had fun watching. Trying not to laugh out loud, because if we got caught, we would be in big trouble. I don't think I would have liked the fact that it would have attracted fungus gnats or other pests while being in bloom. Yeah, you see, that's the thing. I know, right, Ladybug? Side eye. I know. I raise my hands. Guilty, guilty. Okay, Joe. That's the thing with Bulbophyllums. If they are stinky, they bring in the unwanted. Thank you, Bet. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Joe. I'm going to check out your link eventually. After all this is said and done, I still have to do treats for my bird, etc. But trust, I will follow up on that link. Yeah, we did a lot of that stuff, but it was good. It was good. Oh, Lena had the greatest hair, but she hated me touching it. Don't touch my hair. It was good fun. But I remember, okay, I'm going to leave you with one story. I was starting that with, and I'll leave you with this one story. No judgment here on my part. Trust, Joe. The fact that you're going to show us something, I think that's fabulous. Looking forward to it. And thank you so much for your support here. Ladybug, thank you. Okay, bye. We'll be in touch. I'm looking forward to seeing what you did there. So I will finish with this one story just to finish my train of thought with Lena, because we were school skippers. Apart from the fact, church skippers, sometimes we just didn't feel like going to school. So one morning, very early, we started to drink tea. The African tea, the Swahili name is chai. Probably a word you're very familiar with, chai. Spelt the same way, not brewed the same way as we know here what chai is. Anyway, so we had chai, and in order to get our temperature up into our throats, because we were going to have our thermometer shoved down our throats, we had to drink it very quickly. But then the infirmary was like a little up behind the chemistry area, the chemistry building, and the infirmary was up behind that, so it made going up the hill a little bit difficult because we didn't want to breathe through our mouth, because that would cool down what we had just tried to chug down to raise our throat temperature so that the thermometer would register a fever. I guess the nurse in the infirmary was smarter than we thought she was. I got to skip school because I had a temperature. Lena was told to go to class. If she doesn't feel better after the first 2 hours, she should come back. When I came back down from the infirmary after the day was done, she says, "I'm never going to the infirmary with you again." It was maybe the third or fourth time, but it was the last time. So you can see that Lena and Nina were not exactly, yeah, they were smarter than us. They caught on relatively quickly. So we had to distribute. She wasn't pleased. The fact that, you know what I should have done? I should have actually said, you know what, I'm feeling a lot better, and stuck with my friend that day, right? As a mature adult now, that's what I would do. I would have my friends back and I would say to the nurse, you know what? If you can just give me something that'll take the temperature down, I'm going to be fine. And, you know, take the headache away. And stuck with my friend. Yeah, I wasn't thinking along those lines back then. So if I had a little bit of a moment where I feel bad now, many decades later, it would be that one. But anyway, when she wanted to skip school, I had her back, and then, you know, she could go to the infirmary, but we never went together again. It didn't break our friendship, though. That was nice. She was like, "Ugh." Yeah. Anyway, I did say that this could be open end. Having too much fun, but I am going to actually call it, because I do need to give my bird snacks. And if anybody has any questions for the next live stream, keep a little notebook. I don't mind repeating things or going into more details. I'm just glad this worked out today. So what I'm going to do is thank everybody for being here. And I appreciate you taking time on your Saturday. I know it's busy weekend. Spring is in the air for some. The other ones where spring is not in the air, it's fall, they're asleep. So there's that. But love you too, all of you there down under. Thank you for everything that you do. And hopefully maybe one day we can coincide to match up with India. There's one person I really, really would like to have in the chat more often, and that is Orchid Ninja director Jose Josef son. He's in Kerala, God's country. The countryside of Kerala reminds me of Kijabi, and he has his orchids outside. He's got the rainy season, 2 rainy seasons, one a little bit longer, the monsoon being there as well. And he's growing orchids, and he does the most creative things with his mounts, his pots. That would be nice. That will be the day when I can match it with him. I keep asking. He's elusive, he's shy. He's not shy in the comments, but one day I would love to have him show us around. If we can make that work, it would be amazing. I got to get India into the stream at least once. And then maybe it could become a habit, because once you have the know-how, you know how it is. Let's do it again. So we are going to do this again. I am going to figure out how this works so that I can walk you around the patio. This orchid will not be in bloom next week, but I do plan to hopefully do a stream with everybody on a Saturday in the coming week and move around a little bit more. Thank you everybody so much for being here. It was so good to do this again. I cannot tell you. I hope you hear it in my voice. Thank you for your support. Have yourself a fabulous day, fabulous rest of your weekend. On the condition, though, please, that you stay safe. Take care. Bye.